All right, Ryan. So UConn, it looks like when we may have to make a trip to PA for the preseason. Although it looks like it's closed doors exhibition games. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of sucks because I was thinking that we could get like really close access, like VIP access to see Paige Bueckers, but I don't think that'll work. I don't think that'll work. But anyhow, Kutztown. We just found out that UConn women's basketball will face Division II Kutztown in preseason. It caught your eye. You're like, Phil, well, I'd like to discuss this. So tell me what you think. Usually you don't see, even in the preseason, you don't see a Division I going up a Division II. I think, uh, on both sides, when you look at UConn, obviously it's good practice for them against any team as far as that goes, exhibition games. But then you look at Division II Kutztown, and you're like, whoa, like you're facing arguably, now they have South Carolina, but arguably the number one team in the nation, and that's UConn. So man, Kutztown, I mean, yes, the game doesn't count. You told me that, Rod, but at the same time, like how you take a step back. Yes, you're in the game to win it, but how cool is it like if you're Kutztown to already know, oh my gosh, Paige Bueckers is coming to town.
Yeah, it must be pretty cool because I saw where Kutztown actually made the tournament and lost in the first round. But and this is the same format that UConn used last season. They played, I believe it was Boston College. They played
Mhm.
Boston College and Fort Hays State. So they used the same format as last year. But I never knew that UConn would play a D2 team, but it's in preseason, doesn't count. Like you mentioned, it's a closed door
Closed door
scrimmage against
scrimmage,
the
yeah.
D1 opponent is closed
Mhm.
door. The D2 Kutztown University is an exhibition contest, so I'm not sure if people will be able to watch that one or not. But it's closed door scrimmage against D1 opponent. So I guess the schedule is coming together because we had the episode the other day about Florida State, UConn playing Florida State, all those other teams. So schedule's getting ready to come together. It's pretty exciting, but yeah, it definitely caught my eye when I saw the D2 team on the schedule for preseason.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's not too far away, I don't think, from our backyard. It's a Kutztown, Pennsylvania, just outside of Allentown. And I saw the Bears are coming off of a 26-7 campaign in which they reached the NCAA tournament, but fell in the opening round. So that what probably most likely small school, but big heart, big fashion. Kutztown. Actually, I'll admit the first time I ever heard of, but that's the thing. When you cover bigger schools like this, that's also the positive that you get out of it. You're hearing about these smaller level schools that you don't always hear about, like obviously like UConn, but you get to learn more about players. And I just went over that, Ryan, especially when UConn picked up their most recent transfer um, in Lou Lopez, right? Like I told you, I said a lot of times, you just don't, the head coaches now, like Gino, they know all about him, but we just sit back and we don't, unless you really look into it, which we should more often, you just don't find out about them players that are from these smaller schools until they reach a school like UConn. But if you really look into it and dive deep and take time during the day, you can find out where that hidden talent is.
Yeah, Lou Lopez from Fairfield. I actually didn't. Honestly, I didn't even know Fairfield was in Connecticut. So, you learn something new every day, I guess.
That's
And when
right.
you search up, you start researching a team like we are. Have a podcast about UConn. We find something new out every single day on the news. A new article comes out. But it's good to learn something, especially because the NCAA tournament also, you see a lot of smaller schools that get in the first four. They make it in. They play the 16 seeds, the two seeds, like UConn playing the Mercer Bears, the 15 seed. I honestly never heard of them before. So there's a lot of small schools out there to usually get an opportunity, and this will usually probably put Kutztown on the map for a little bit because, like you said, playing the number one team in the nation in the UConn Huskies. So must be pretty exciting for them. But I also saw some more news on the Big East conference schedule, and Instead of a Friday Sunday format, it will be a quote midweek weekend rotation.
Mm,
So I think the goal is to allow more flexible scheduling, which in return could improve viewership, attendance, and television exposure. So hopefully for us, since we're not in the area of Connecticut or UConn, around that area, maybe we'll be able to see UConn on national TV a little bit more, Big East teams getting TV time. So that's something to be excited about too.
so there's a couple more things on my list. So they announced, we went over it. They announced the women will play, the UConn women will play in the Mohegan Sun Arena in that Hall of Fame showcase, Ryan.
Right.
And that was, they will play Florida State in that game. Last Wednesday they announced that. So that game will come on December 18th. So that I saw that the Huskies have one opening left on their
Yeah.
non-conference schedule. So you can predict, Ryan, which team will that be? And then also I wanted to go over, Ryan, with you very quickly. I wanted to shout out, I think you would you really like this when you hear it. I don't think I even told you yet from all of our time off the air, and now we're on the air. So I'll tell you now and then announce it to all of our subs and people that continue to watch us and support us. I've been in touch with KK Arnold's mom. She has, shout out to that family. I mean, they are a terrific group, a very a nice family. I've been in touch with her mother here, and supposedly they're working around KK's schedule to possibly get her on this podcast with you and I in the long run. Very busy schedule, as we know, being a college athlete, professional athlete, high school athlete. So with that said, but I wanted to shout out because KK Arnold, Ryan, it looked like that it says 23 UConn commit KK Arnold missed out on the USA U17 World Cup team after a concussion prevented her from fully participating in trials over the weekend. Hey, so the most important thing you can say to that is hats off to her, blessings to that family, and prayers sent up for KK Arnold. We hope that she recovers fully from that concussion.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty unfortunate to get injured like that when you're trying out. She couldn't finish the tryout, so she obviously didn't make it. But I did see Ashlyn Shade and Ice Brady will be competing in the U18 national team, USA Basketball's U18 team. So that's exciting that two UConn recruits will be competing in that. But I'm sure they'll be next year. KK Arnold will probably be able to compete in the U18 team next season. So hope for a speedy recovery for her. But at least we got Ashlyn Shade and Ice Brady competing on the national team. So that's also exciting.
Comment time, and it's going to get very tough because hey, we appreciate you guys. You guys came through very well on that list video. UConn Huskies first day of summer workouts. Ryan, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and start off with Iowa, top of the list. You should go through whole roster because you are leaving some great players out of conversation. Always talking about same players. This team is really close. They play well together. Also, I think Nico will get that starting spot. Gino did say other people may think they are in charge, but when Nika is on the floor, she is the voice. In my opinion, three players that can be really impactful are Edwards, Nika, Lou. They have grit. Gino likes players with grit, toughness, that are a little bit rough. You know, that's a good point, Ryan. We should have a series where we go over every single player on the roster. I like that one a lot. That'll really waste some time this summer, huh?
Yeah, that'll give us probably about almost 2 weeks of videos there.
That's a good
So
idea. Yeah.
yeah, but I know we've been got on in the past about not bringing up Caroline Ducharme, so we learned
Mm-hmm.
our lesson there. But I mean, there's so many players now that UConn, they got the new transfer Lou, two new recruits coming in. We had videos on all three of them. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely go through all the other players on UConn, all the returning players as well, and talk about their impact. You know, what we expect from them for this upcoming season.
And it's so fitting, right? Because we do admit that this team is fully loaded. Basketball capital of the world. So Ryan, it's very fitting to say each player deserves their own episode.
Yeah, and each player definitely matters. Each player
Mm,
probably is going to get some
yep.
time and minutes on the court this season. So,
Yeah, it's a very good. I'm glad she brought that up. That's very interesting. Tom Kibbe, thanks for coming through. They need muscle in the paint, and they haven't had that presence in years. I agree that Dorka will be critical. There's a reason DeBerry has played so little, even though Gino has praised her talent. If she gets serious and measures up, she could be tremendously important. Remember, Aaliyah, Boston, and Cardozo will still be playing, as will Cameron Brink at Stanford. These are the caliber of bigs UConn must compete against. As for Azzi, she needs to ramp up her court game. We all rave over her jump shot, and rightfully so, but her overall court game was not very good last season. She was tentative at times and did not handle pressure very well. Other than that, other than yeah, at he meant that. Other than that, the free throw line, or excuse me, other than at the free throw line where she was excellent under pressure.
yeah, I mean, speaking on the big players down in the post, I think UConn obviously has missed out on that the past 4 or 5 years, and that's pretty much probably one of the main reasons why they haven't been able to overcome that hump and win a national championship. Um, they've definitely missed out on a couple of recruits in the past couple seasons, but they definitely have the guards to do it. But they have Aaliyah Edwards, they have Dorka Uhas now, and they also are getting Aubrey Griffin back. They still have Amari DeBerry and now Lou Lopez, who I think can play possibly a guard and forward position. So there's a lot of new players coming in this season, and I'm pretty confident in those players that they'll be able to get the job done down low for UConn and the two new recruits as well. So there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new talent coming in, and a lot of room to grow for these UConn players. Speaking on Azzi as well, I think I disagree with that because I think under the circumstances, especially with Paige Bueckers getting injured and pretty much Azzi getting thrown into that starting lineup role, she was the number one recruit. So high expectations for sure playing for UConn. We already know all about that. But I think under the circumstances, she played really, really well, especially only being a freshman playing for the number one school in the nation. She had a lot of pressure on her. And she definitely did have a lot of breakout games. That game against Tennessee, where UConn,
That was one
some
of my
people
favorite
said,
ones all year.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
that
that.
was a
I
really
love that.
fun game. Some people said it wasn't an upset, but I think it still was. That I didn't
Oh yeah.
honestly didn't expect UConn to
Oh
win
yeah.
that game.
And
Tennessee was
wait, who
hot,
was it
but
against Tennessee?
yeah,
Yeah,
Tennessee.
I remember had an episode, and I'm like, and we like, I think the title of that video was like, they stunned Tennessee. No, I was like, no, it wasn't. They didn't stun Tennessee. They didn't stun. Yo, well, yeah, they did because guess what? The next comment coming up, AZ is so overrated. Dan Wayman says so. Okay, how is AZ so overrated? But then you got another person saying way back then, no, it wasn't a stunner against Tennessee. You got to make your mind up, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the defensive side of things, Azia has a lot of room to improve, but her jump shot is one of a kind, and I can't. We both spoken on this. Can't wait to see her and Paige Bueckers work together again for this season. Obviously, Azia got a lot of reps in last season, a lot of experience, and really didn't play. Definitely not as many games as she would have liked to alongside Paige Bueckers. So hopefully we get a full season of those two. Also with Caroline Ducharme, I know they're the big three guards or the big three news surrounding UConn. So hopefully we get to see all three of them a lot more this season.
Jelly Bean came through. Thanks for coming through, Jelly Bean. As always, solid commentary and opinions, fellas. Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We like to see the supportive comments sometimes. So thank you.
Jason D'Amico, look at Phil speaking truth to power while dropping the confidence bomb on Dorka versus Paige. He goes, I like it. There are two scenarios. Scenario one, a less than 100% healthy Paige Bueckers returns to the court, forcing other players to perform skill sets that are outside of their comfort zone to fill the vacuum. Result, UConn has a better than average season, but no Final Four. This would be a video in and of itself, so I won't digress. Oh, we won't forget that one then. Scenario 2, a 100% healthy Paige Bueckers returns to the court, allowing rookies to learn at the speed Gino dictates, while Dorka and the team are allowed the time and space to get back into pre-injury form and benefit from the opposition having to change their scheme to cover Paige. UConn reaches the Final Four minimum. That's the result he has. Side note, we must consider Caroline D a no-go this year. If she returns, a no-go, yeah, did I read that right? A no-go this year. Wow. If she returns at some point, fantastic. But until we see her on the court making a difference, she is scratched. Hip injuries are no joke. Just ask Bo Jackson. Great show, fellas. Peace.
Yeah, I like that comment a lot. I definitely like the second scenario more. But the first scenario is definitely possible. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that because we saw Paige last season. They wanted to keep her out until, everybody was comfortable getting her back out on the court, making sure she was pretty much healthy enough as she could be. But there's always a possibility of that re-injury, and nobody wants to see that. But we learned this all season that Caroline was dealing with that hip injury throughout the whole entire season. So I really don't know how she dealt with that throughout the whole entire season, but for sure, I don't want to see her come back out onto the court. Certainly not in a regular season game until she's fully healthy. So we'll just have to see what happens. But all those injuries last season, definitely don't want anybody coming back then that's not 100% fully healthy.
How about Gary Roundtree? We appreciate you all coming through so much. We don't want to, we actually don't want to miss any comments on this episode, Ryan. We won't be back on until tomorrow evening. Gary Roundtree being real. That's me. I'm a UConn fan. Love this team and want them to win. But like I said, there is a team believe that no one can't beat them. Who's South Carolina, the champions. Watch out. Yeah, so not too sure. Maybe you can make more sense of that one, Ryan, but I'm guessing he's saying that South Carolina has the possibility of making the case of being like a dynasty, like Golden State Warriors are trying to do again.
Yeah, well, I know, look, going over all these comments, we definitely know there's a lot of serious UConn fans out there who, die hard, root for their team to the death.
And we
So,
respect that. We
yeah,
respect that.
we definitely do. Yeah. Well, I mean, we know it with our teams that we root for, especially in the NFL.
Mhm.
We know how serious it gets sometimes.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and especially with UConn, how much of they've won 11 national championships, and just all the fans and the community just being so used to winning, having that winning culture. So what is it, like a 5-year drought now? I think that they haven't won a national championship. So I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering, when can they finally get over that hump again? And some people, I'm sure, are asking that question of, how long is it going to take for them to be able to win another national championship? But
Can you
I'm
say it's
really,
almost
I'm
like the
really
New York
confident in this team
Yankees?
this year.
Can you say it's almost like the New York Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a good comparison because the Yankees are already in, always in the postseason, right? But
Yeah,
it
as
just
much as we
seems
hate to
like,
say it, I mean, the Bronx, capital of baseball. I mean, what else can you say?
yeah, 27 World Series, right? But they haven't won one since 2007, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
By the
we'll
way,
just
I
have to
saw where
see.
ex-Yankee manager this morning, Joe Girardi, got fired, but that's a
Yeah,
conversation for another
yeah,
day.
I did see that. I didn't even know he was the Phillies manager, honestly. So,
Yeah. Well,
that was a
that's how much Ryan has been paying attention to baseball. That's what I like to hear. So, guys, Ryan, that's living proof. Ryan has been paying more attention to UConn women's
that's right.
basketball
Yeah,
than you have Major League Baseball.
that's right. Exactly right.
How about Dane Wayman? Oh man, Ryan might get fired up on this one. AZ is so overrated. She could never carry a team, not a rebounder or assist leader, and has not produced a lot in scoring. She is a hanger wanter. Hopefully, she will prove me wrong. So far, she hasn't. I really hope the best for her, including some big 3 points, big threes, or excuse me, including some big threes. She was not the number one player in the country last year. not even in high school. We can all hope she turns out as well as we expected. Perhaps this year, go UConn.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's definitely a
Whoa.
lot of high expectations for Azzi Fudd, and like I mentioned, rightfully so. When you're the number one recruit, and UConn usually has, I mean, at least one top five recruit coming in every single season, right? But I mean, I just think under the circumstances that Azzi Fudd found herself in last season, I thought she played great. She's a phenomenal shooter. She has a very unique release point. The way she shoots the ball is really, you almost can't teach the way she shoots the ball, in my opinion. So really excited to see her play last season, and really excited to play, to see her play again this season along with Paige Bueckers. But Azzi really doesn't need, no one on UConn really needs to carry the team. I
Yeah.
think it really takes everybody, and we saw that last season. And I think again this season it's going to take a team effort, even though Paige Bueckers is going to be back to 100%. It's not going to just be Paige Bueckers scoring 30 points, getting 10 assists every single game. It's going to be a team effort from almost everybody on the court every single game.
How about the I felt like this was fitting. The last comment for to wrap it up on this Friday, Ryan. Friday. Again, have a great weekend, guys. Mr. John came through. Hey guys, I really want to see a healthy team together to start the season from beginning to the national championship game. Completely healthy and having the dominant year they are capable of having. I mean, that's a perfect world in any sport, for any team. It starts off with health. You know, when I was a little kid, Ryan, growing up watching sports, I never really thought how serious that was. But health, man. I mean, it's just a key ingredient to winning ball games, no matter what sport. Health, health, health.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much see that in every single sport, and I mean that's probably the ultimate goal. But a lot of times you really can't control injuries, and it just seems like every single year, in almost any single sport, we're seeing more and more athletes get injured. And it just seems like back 10, 20 years ago,
Mm.
maybe even probably 30 years ago, we just didn't really see the type of injuries we're seeing in today's game. So I'm not really sure if it's the training, they're overtraining, but I'm not really sure what's the case. But it just seems like in today's sports world, we're seeing a lot more serious and a lot more injuries every single year. So, but hopefully for UConn this season, we've been saying it the whole off season. Hopefully everybody comes back healthy and stays healthy. But it's really unlikely. But hopefully we can hope for the best.
I want to shout out to Ryan Renner today for making this podcast possible. Thank him. When you guys comment, thank Ryan Renner for making this podcast possible. All the hard work, Ryan, that you put into this. And thank all of you. Just thank all of you. Give yourselves a pat on the back for making this podcast possible. We could not do it without you guys. It's Phil and Ryan. Listen up to actually tomorrow evening, Ryan, some new jersey numbers assigned. And we cannot wait to talk about that. And we know that you all can't wait. We can't wait. Ryan, UConn women's basketball just that much closer. It's Phil and Ryan on Listen Up.